just doing a quick sound check to see if you can hear us online. Excellent.
Morena, everyone. I'm Kevin Lavery, for those of you who don't know me, the chair of Iawai. Merry Christmas and welcome to Ngaruawahia for our final board meeting of 2025. Today we've got one public participant, followed by our public agenda, and then we've got a few items on public excluded. I'm hoping that we'll finish the board by 11 a.m. this morning. Tim, could I ask you to open proceedings, please?
Hui ariki, mahi o Iawai, te taipō hapori, te kaitia te taro o tātou oma. Neri, me te amana, me, te awhetau, e mi anō, meri kehi me te, mi ki te haupakea, te nata tō, i ngā manuwhiri, mai haramai. Tima tau o tātou i re kai kia tā mate atu tātou. I ona re, ki tātou kato, e kia tōku mai kia mate, waro, tutu whakamau kia tina, haungi e hui e tātou.
Thank you. So just moving on to the agenda, we've got no apologies today. Are there any declarations of interest? No. And can we confirm that the minutes are a true record of our last meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. And now we're going to go into public forum. We have one public participant, Mr. Kopa King. Please take a seat at the front there, and you can use the loudspeaker so that everyone can hear you. We have up to 10 minutes. Over to you.
Me karaioe, me te aroha, me taipu maringa, ko waikato me waipa ngā awa, ko Ngāti Hānui me waikato ngā iwi, ko Ngāti Ngāmuri ka tawa tuku pū, kono ke hau pātaku tūranga mawai. So I'm basically from the Waikato, born and raised in Hamilton City in Ngaruawahia, here in Ngaruawahia, on Belt Street and Princess Street. That's around the corner. My family originally come from Glenview, Melville, Templeview, Frankton, Dinsdale, Pukete, and Fairfield. And currently, a lot of us are residing around in the Glenview area. So that's where I stay at the moment, not far from our past site. And I've been working on it with our community, Nakuho, for over 6 years now. I'm trying to protect it from any disturbances from the city council. Within my presentation, you'll see a bit of a history down there. which began from about 2019 and now 2025. There is a lot of, I guess, misunderstandings about who I am. There's also been a lot of competition as well. And with that came, I don't know, a bit of a hate campaign as well towards me, just for trying to do the right thing. And that is protecting our Iawai tapu, protecting our gullies, our streams, and our awa, and our people, and our whakapapa. So today, my message to you today is to find another site. And that's hope you guys get that loud and clear, is that we can't have that discharge or that site where it is because of what it is going to cause towards our hapu, towards our community, and towards our environment, which is, I think, one of the longest standing ones that isn't affected by any colonization. Well, it is in the history, but the way that it is at the moment, if you look through our gully from, say, halfway through Lowy Road and on Gainsford Road, we have a very beautiful forest there of kanuka, sorry, and every year in summer it blossoms with kanuka flowers. It only started doing that in about 2022, 2023, that I noticed anyway. So, but yeah, what we want you to do is to find another location. What we prefer is Pennicott Road. We're not against the wastewater treatment plant. Okay, we're not against that. We understand that there is a need for a wastewater treatment plant for the city's growth, for Waipa District and Hamilton District. But with that, we believe that where the site is preferred by the Kaitiaki group, that never consulted with us, knew where we were and all of that happening, but never consulted with us once. They voted in front of us and didn't even bother to tell us where they were choosing that site until we figured out later on in the day, on the 9th of July. So, but yeah, my presentation is pretty straightforward, and I hope that you guys get the message and speak to those that are choosing the sites or that you guys think, is preferred by the Kaitiaki group, to get them to understand that it's not suitable enough, and it's unfair that they think they can just go ahead and do that without consulting with mana whenua or tangata whenua for that matter. I mean, I've already stated in there that, a lot of the things that they have gone in and done towards us are against the kingitanga core principles and values, which are not manakitanga. They didn't awhi us throughout the whole years of 6 years. None of them did. I mean, a lot of them are from the Tangata Whenua Working Group, Te Hāta Whenua Kiri Roa. They work within Hamilton City Council's different branches and all of that. And we're just finding it very, very rude of them, to just go around us as if, everything's fine, but not really, We're having to take on a lot more than anyone actually thinks, because of even since before Te Tiriti o Waitangi was signed, or even after the 95 deed of settlement, So we're having to deal with a lot more than they think. I mean, these guys that are on the Kaitiaki group, they have all of their settlements done and all of that, but they're actually encroaching on another iwi and hapu. And it's a very, I find it very disrespectful with regards to how they've settled or how they have an agreement with government organisations without thinking about how their decisions are impacting those tangata whenua, ngā iwi take. So, just want to make it clear that that site needs to be changed. And that's pretty much basically all I have to say today.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from fellow board members?
No, I just want to thank you for your presentation and the depth and thought that's gone into it. So, a lot to think about.
Yeah, it took a long, because I work in afternoons. I've worked in in the food, packaging, and manufacturing processing industry for over 20 years now. So I think I started from here in Aotearoa and Te Rapa, and then over in Aussie in the meatworks and in hospitality as well. So it did take a while to complete. It took a few weeks actually. I mean, we had a bunch of other stuff happening as well. So
Thank you.
Okay, anything, Tim? And just, I mean, obviously, you know, we're a new organisation. We've only recently been incorporated. We go live next July, but we have got responsibility for some projects from the two councils, of which the Southern Wastewater Treatment Plant is one. Obviously, before we existed, the City Council had gone through an extensive looking at various sites to make the decision to buy this site. Have you got any alternative sites that you think would be suitable?
well, I think in the beginning there were 8 sites.
Yeah.
Then it was cut down from what we were advised, or not advised, but notified of, is that it was then cut down to 4. I think before 2022, before 131 Rains Road was purchased, there were 3 sites, maybe 4 sites available. From what we can see on that map, I think it's site 2 on Pennacut Road. Pennacut Road would be the most suitable for us at this stage because it's not as close to our waipuna, it's not as close to our community, and I think it's in an industrial zone. So it'll be away from those residents, and I hope we're being directly affected from not only the discharge, for our waipuna, that's our whakapapa in there. That's our history, that's our ukaipo. So, and all our residents that actually rely on that, so they rely on that too. So I've gotten to know them a lot over the past few years. I've worked with a few of them around Nukuho, so they're actually very, very kind people.
Yeah, okay. Look, really appreciate your presentation and your answer. Thank you for coming along.
Okay. Ngā mihi.
Okay, so now we will get back to the chair's report. I'm happy to take that as read. Just to note for board members, we are still progressing the CFO appointment. It's not complete yet, but we may make an announcement quite soon. Peter's been in some meetings, taking up references. So watch this space. We did also we got some notes there around the permanent board arrangements. We did have a very good meeting with shareholders last week. That's all been agreed now. So that we're going to progress that as well. So happy to answer any questions if there are any. Okay. Right. So if we move on then to the establishment program report, Gavin, who's online. Welcome. Thanks, Gavin. I think the reality on the land transfers is probably going to take a number of years, isn't it, really? So we are going to have to be pragmatic and have that right to occupy for many sites, which we'll need to then work through over a period of years with councils. This is the final big decision by councils, really, to get Iawai up and running. The other key decisions we're going to have early next year are really Iawai decisions, but this is the final one from the two councils, isn't it? So it's quite crucial. Goes to councils in February, I understand. Is that right? Yeah. Are there any questions, Tim?
Kia ora, Gavin. Tim Manukau here. Kia ora. Just one very quick question, just in terms of the license to occupy. You see any challenges there in terms of timing on that? Thank you.
Okay. Dave?
I have a number of questions.
Go for it.
As you might expect. So, kia ora, Gavin, and firstly, congrats on your new role, your changed role. So, great to see you. I suppose working down from the top, 536 contracts that have been identified. Is there any general issues you need to flag up today around either the quantum or the nature of the contracts? Okay, cool. Thank you. And you talked about the legal advice coming. You're feeling okay and would agree that it's probably not going to be perfect, but you're feeling good about that? Yes. Yeah, thanks, Gavin. That makes perfect sense. So, and just reiterating from my perspective that clearly the land transfers is key for the ongoing success for Iawai and the challenges that might. Great to see that there's a finance tool coming through. Might regret it, but just offering any help that the team might want. So, in between meetings, etc., around some of that, having had some bad experiences with not setting that up right, sort of up north. So, and then just moving through some of the little detail, if I can quickly. There's a point 24, so it's on page 15 or 14. Talks about recruitment and meeting the expectations for a strong relationship, council's expectations. Okay, it's also Iawai board's expectations that we have strong relationships with with mana whenua, not just the council, but our own expectations, of course, which I know you'll know. And maybe finally on page 16 in Diligent, you talk very wisely about actually how all the little things, but they're not little, like setting up people's payroll in a different system, making sure that digital systems, I just want to reiterate the support for the team that those things aren't minor at all. It's incredibly important that we get things right for our people, and it's very difficult to tick everything off. So just want to reiterate the support, and great that you've called that out. And then the civil defence and emergency, because it'd be horrible if there was a natural disaster, but if it happened on 1 or 2 or 3 July next year, and then we go, oh, we're not quite really set up to deal with that. We just can't have that sort of situation, of course. So great that you've called that out, in particular the civil defence and emergency management protocols and the escalation. Up north, when the 2023 floods came, did sort of catch some new people unawares, and so maybe some things to learn from about, it can happen at any time, whether it's day one or not. We just have to be ready. We just have to be ready for that. And then completely finally, Kevin, on the tracker, and I really appreciate having that, there were 2 issues. One was around a retention plan consideration, and the other one around finances, where there's a little bit of slippage, financial reporting requirements, and particularly revenue collection and policies. They seem sort of quite fundamental. So just wondering, either Gavin, your new, or Peter, in your current role, before you go into your new role next year, whether you're feeling comfortable with those, where there's just a little bit of red coming in there. Yep. Okay, thank you. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for your very full report, and excellent work. Thank you.
Thanks, Gavin. This report is for noting. I'm assuming that has your support as board members. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Gavin. Let's move on then to Natasha. And yeah, thank you, Gavin.
All right, this is really just a procedural report. The Local Government Water Services Act requires that to continue to be a water services organisation after 6 months of establishment, the Board of Directors must adopt a paper to confirm that we comply with the requirements set out in the Act. Those requirements are detailed in the paper, but it includes things like being incorporated as a company, an appointment of a board of directors, and having the right foundation documents, the Constitution, Shareholders Agreement, Statement of Expectations. As per the paper, we've gone through each of the requirements to check that we meet those, and the recommendation is that the board approve the paper so that Iawai can continue to be a waters organisation.
Okay, supportive?
Yeah.
All
great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Which takes us to the next item, which is an update on the water services strategy. Over to Vishal.
Kia ora, Chair Tamari, and members of the board and staff. I'm happy to take the report as read, but by way of a quick overview, the board has been very clear in terms of its key priorities for Iawai and the water services strategy, being affordability, focus on partnerships, i.e. the two councils, iwi, mana whenua, hapu, and also the private sector. Growth is a key focus, obviously, the environment, and Te Whamana, Ota Wakato, and people in terms of staff. So that's guiding the write-up of the strategy, and supporting that is a savings program, which is feeding into the affordability directive given by the board, looking at the optimized capital works program, which we'll hear more about in the new year. A focus on accelerating the renewals and a modernized approach to procurement, standardized IT solutions, as well as metering for water meters in terms of operational savings and organizational efficiency in terms of bringing two staff together from the two councils and delayering and looking at an optimized structure. The funding approach has still been worked on, as you will be aware, and Gary will bring that to you in the new year. And then we will also bring a summarized version of the water services strategy and a more detailed version to you in the new year, supported by key documents, which includes a significance and engagement policy, a waiver policy, as well as an investment and liability policy. So all that will be coming to you in the new year for consideration. So we'll workshop that first and then come to the board meeting for adoption. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vishal. Just to be clear on the timing here, my understanding is we're hoping to sign off by the end of February, to then have a month's consultation with the two councils on the key elements of our water services strategy, and then we reconsider in the light of any comments, and then we go out to public consultation, and then following that we reconsider again and adopt the water services strategy.
Correct.
So the only thing I'm twitchy about, and we can cover it in public excluded, is that the late coming of the work, and I know the team have got a lot on, so completely understand that, but so I'm exploring contingencies with Natasha. If we haven't got everything sorted, how do we still comply? What arrangements, what might we need to put in place? But I'm a little bit worried that we might end up needing a bit more time to consider certain aspects of the water services strategy, because they are coming in late. So that's the only worry I have. But this is the big decision for Iawai, really, aside from the transfers used for the council going forward. Are there any questions or thoughts from Dave and Tim?
Thanks, Vishal. I think the team's been doing a lot of work. I guess just for me, Kevin, was in and around just priming the community that something's coming, so they can at least prep or anticipate. something coming in front of them. So that's why I was wanting to race, so they're just not getting cold.
And for me, just a slight build on your points, Chair, that on page 31 of our deck, the key risks, the financial modelling, but also the external around the Commerce Commission, you know, saying they won't come through with their disclosure regime or whatever else it is until the 26th of February. So we'll have to have done a plan and then not know what the economic regulator might necessarily require. So that whole level of rework. So just building on it, and I'm sure as a board we'll move quickly as the team can come through with it, and we'll consider and etc. But
we might have to put
just a tiny build on your point.
We might need to put some reserve sessions in the diary just in case. I'm talking to Natasha about it just as a contingency.
Yeah, and Chair, if I may, just on the ComCom point raised by Dave, we may have to leave some things for WSS2 if we can't do it in WSS1. It's just a timing issue. And we're also not set up to start responding to all of the ComCom disclosure requirements. So that decision will need to be made by the board.
I think you're making a really significant point. This will be an interim water services strategy. We need to comply, obviously, with all of the requirements, but we're going to have to do it again the following year more thoroughly, having had our feet well and truly under the table. So I think everyone appreciates that. So we're doing the best we can in the circumstances. We're one of only 4 or 5 water services entities going live in July 26. It's a significant point, but it won't be that finished article. We will have to update it the following year. Gary, I just wonder, any comments from yourself?
Definitely the understanding of the shift in the financials since the Water Services Delivery Plan, having picked up the final version of the potential establishment transfers, has definitely put pressure on us, our ability to do variance analysis and make sure that we can have a clear understanding. I think, as an example, discussing the ComCom release as a counterexample, LGFA just released their final version of what their covenant controls would be, and it was slightly different, a little bit advantageous to us versus their previous version. So we are kind of reacting in a very dynamic way, but we do have to work out how to stabilise and present in a timely manner within that. Looking forward to using some of the Christmas break and the gap that appears to get back on top of it.
So we're moving into a new world, and the goalposts are moving a little bit as we do that. Okay. Look. Again, this is an update report for noting. I'm assuming both board members content, and we can note that and move on. And now we've got a report from Jackie on the strategic investment portfolio. It's busy, isn't it?
It's very busy.
A lot of fast tracks.
Yes. Morena koutou. This report is for your receipt, and I will largely take it as read, but just to highlight that overall, I consider that the portfolio status is amber, so largely on track. There are some challenges across the board, but overall progress does continue. In order to maintain progress, though, it does require quite a lot of proactive management and oversight. Our key focus areas for the portfolio are really working to mitigate the risks of transition and trying our best to ensure a smooth transition from where we currently sit to the 1st of July. And one of the key approaches that we're taking to do that is to really secure consultant and contracted resources to help with the overall management of many of our projects. We're also, now that a new structure has been released for Iawai, looking at how we might align the governance structures for the overall portfolio to that. And also doing what we can to inform the market of the pipeline of capital investment that's coming. So really trying to ready the market as best we can on the big spend that will be coming through from Iawai into the future. Some of our challenges are really just continuing to refine our reporting and governance structures. So you will see a difference in this month's portfolio report. We've tried to, I guess, make it more high level. There are other things that sit in the detailed report that really belong in PX. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Still challenging to get, I guess, fast investment decisions made across the life cycle of projects. And a big challenge for us that we're still navigating, like everyone in the country, no doubt, is how to respond to the legislative changes that are occurring. But with that, I'll take questions from the board. I know there's a lot in the attachment.
The only issue I wanted to raise, Jackie, was the fast track side of things. I mean, we've got 11 here. There are others in the wings as well. We probably are the area nationally with the most fast track applications there. You know, some very exciting developments there. They're resource intensive for staff in the councils as well as Iawai. But we can charge our time to these projects, can't we?
There are existing cost recovery agreements in place for some of them, not all. As new fast track proposals emerge, we have to, I guess, respond and just engage with the developers to understand what it's about. But the fast track structure that's been established across councils, Futureproof and Iawai, does call for a cost recovery agreement to be entered into so that we can get our money back.
So the question was on that about we're sort of reacting and things are coming. You know, we don't always know about them. They come through. Can we be more proactive? Should we be looking at actually gearing up a team that we do aim to do the cost recovery for, but actually we're more proactive rather than simply reacting to a lot? Because I mean, we've had a staggering number, haven't we, in a short space of time, and it's probably only going to increase going forward.
Yeah, the appropriate responses that we could take for different fast track proposals has been considered, I guess, at a staff level over the last 6 months. And depending on how far progressed a proposal is or how large it is, really does determine what our response might be. There are a number that are, I guess, relatively small scale that we're planning on just preparing some standard position statements for the board to approve so that it's less labour intensive. But for many of them, they are large and they take a lot of time to work through. We do, again, have contracted resources supporting us in our response to fast track proposals. But for water and wastewater services, a lot of them rely on our hydraulic models, for example, and that there's a bit of a queue to get access to our models. So it's definitely challenging. We are, I guess, trying to temper developer expectations around how quickly we can respond to their requests and just setting out programs so that we're not over-promising and under-delivering.
I mean, I guess the question for me, and Peter, you might want to reflect on this when you're here in the new year, is for some of those big fast tracks, my observation, I've talked to Blair and Will and the two councils, is we're still a bit in silos. I'm wondering whether we could be more proactive and have effectively an account team type approach for the big ones, a sort of one-stop shop, if you like. But it does require us to be proactive and look at the resourcing, you know, and maybe take a punt rather than simply reacting, because some of these are huge and they do require you to get it all right, don't you, before the consent process. So there's a lot of work required.
Yeah, and for most of them, they're unplanned. Our infrastructure hasn't been planned or designed to service them, and so they present significant challenge.
I mean, maybe, Peter, we can pick it up in the new year just to look at this and see whether there is merit in doing a sort of joined up, a more proactive approach with both councils and have a sort of, if you like, a sort of one-stop shop for fast tracks, if you like, which we plug into and play a part in going forward.
I
Peter?
think that
Yeah.
I think that currently is happening,
Yeah.
but it could be streamlined for sure.
Peter? Yeah. 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 Look, I'm aware that people are working well together, but I think fundamentally it is that resourcing side of it. And I guess the question for me is, are we going to be brave and start bringing some extra resource in now? Because we're going to get more of these going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything from Tim or Dave? Tim.
Thank you, Taki. Just in terms of the transfer agreement work to date, any issues you can see in terms of the portfolio investments?
In terms of the transferred projects? Or?
Transfer agreements that the team are working on to finalise.
I think one of the key areas that we just need to be tight on is land transfer and making sure that, I guess, we are mindful of what we need for the future in those land transfer agreements. So that's one thing. We're also working through what the new legislation means from a notice of requirement, easement perspective, just navigating that and getting some advice so we can apply that consistently across all of our projects.
Thanks. And this one more was just on another update on the bulk water program, Hamilton East.
Yep. So following our last meeting, we agreed that we would look to reset our relationship with the Ministry for Education, Ministry of Education. And so that will be Kevin and Peter when he gets back, just meeting with the Ministry to establish a relationship as
This is the
Iawai.
lead regional people, isn't it?
Yes,
Yep.
as Iawai to Ministry of Education. And then we can start talking about the project at that point. There's still some further investigations that are occurring. There was an article in the news about it post our board hui a few months back, and we have been contacted by some members of the business community in and around Hamilton East. So I'm responding to those.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Anything, Dave?
Yeah. Thanks, Jackie. Great to note the new template that's been used as well. So just a couple of things from a governance perspective. Love to see any health, safety and wellness comments because, you know, as a board member, these projects represent potentially significant risk around people. So I think the detail there from my perspective is perfect, but just that health, safety and wellness commentary, because I'm from, you know, here I wouldn't know if we've had any incidents or none. So, you know, particularly where we're constructing. And the other one is the dollars. So if I go to your first page, on page 40 of ours, Te Kowhai West is in planning. I'd love to see how many dollars were allocated to that phase and whether we're on track or not. And then whether it's a $30 million project or a $500,000 project, just from a board focus perspective. So, you know, are we on track for health, safety and wellness? And are we on track from a dollars perspective as well? So just perhaps think about how, given it's a public document, but health, safety and wellness is very public. So, but certainly the dollars aspect of the reporting to the board, if you would, into the new year. Not niggly about that at all, just and appreciate the build. A few final points that, as I read through it, I was thinking how many noted that we're in the planning and consultation phase which is not unexpected, but then how that might link to the finance plan, because the planning and consultation phase could easily, it's uncertain because you're in the hands of others. But then, of course, we're trying to have exactitude and certainty around a financial plan, and therefore the charges we're going to ask residents to be recovering. So I just draw that link into, making sure we're picking up the reality for our financial plan. And then finally, again, as I was reading through all of these, which is just a fantastic quantum, is communication. And could easily envisage others like developers going, like Iawai are stopping us with affordable housing or something else. And then we have to respond to what we're doing. But that whole communication about what we actually are doing, as opposed to having to respond when others might challenge us about what we haven't done, to make sure we're right on the front foot about all the projects and the things that we are doing to facilitate growth, even in general areas. And I know it certainly helped somewhere else when elected officials knew that there were 1,000 jobs on someone else's job card over 10 years, but also that at any one time 120 were under construction. It certainly helped the elected officials to go, hang on, there's 120 under construction and about 1,000 new connections every month were going on. So it just gave some data about, because others would go, oh, you're not growing, and go, crikey, Iawai's area is growing rapidly. Every time I drive down the expressway, it feels like there's some more houses that popped up out of nowhere. So just really being positive about the things that we are doing, because I can envisage under fast track there could be some unhappy people who might want to shake the tree a bit. But you're doing fantastic work, and just don't hide it. Just don't hide it under a bushel somewhere.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Do you want to respond?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks for those comments. And take your point around having a specific section in the public report on health, safety and wellness. Just to let you know, there are very few projects under construction. The only one really is Pukete Inlet Works, and there have been no health and safety incidents associated with that particular project. But yes, we will report that into the future. As you've read, a lot of these projects are in that planning and consultation phase. And the way that we've approached the Recast Capital Works program is to factor in time to, I guess, try and reflect the fact that we don't know how long it will take to get through some of those processes. We have taken a conservative approach to the Recast Capital program on the basis that if we can do the work faster or get approvals faster, that we can pull the budget forward early so that we can deliver those projects. And absolutely agree around communication now that we've got, I guess, the beginnings of Iawai collateral and a website starting to form. Really looking forward to being more proactive around the communication on our portfolio, our programs and our projects. And I don't know if Nicole wants to add anything further, but at the moment we are limited somewhat to the Hamilton City website, and so we're doing it on a project by project basis, but there's definitely a need to elevate our messaging to cover the why, which is really our communities and our river and our environment, and lead that into why we're doing programs, why we're doing the projects that we are, and what we're delivering. And finally, Natasha has asked myself and Nigel Ward to just provide some details on some of the benefits of the portfolio programs and projects so that we can start reporting that more proactively as well. But thank you for your comments.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Kim.
That's great. So look, it's again a report for information. It's very busy, which is exciting. But I'm board comfortable to note this report and move on. So that completes the public agenda. Do you want at this point to do that? Yep. Thank you. So we're going to now move into private session. I'd like to thank the members of the public for attending the meeting. A Merry Christmas, and see you again in the new year.
Thank you.
And I'm assuming